Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and in this episode, we are going to continue with our position breakdown heading into the 2018 season, and we are going to talk about the linebacker position. Okay, previous two episodes, we talked about the cornerbacks, we talked about the safeties. Now we're going to go inside that defense a little bit to my favorite position on the field, offense or defense. We're going to talk about those linebackers. Okay. Going into 2018. How do the Bills look at linebacker? What do you guys think? How do you think we look at linebacker? Obviously, we signed first round draft pick Tremaine Edmunds. I'm very excited about that. I will talk about him. But we just want to break down the position fully, see where we stand. And at the end of this video, I'll give them kind of like my grade for the linebacker position and see who exactly is going to make the team. So last year, 2017, we used 6 linebackers on our active roster. So I'm going to use that to kind of gauge how many linebackers we're going to bring into the 2018 season. Currently, on our 89-man roster, we have 8 or 9 linebackers. I'll go down the names in a second. But we have to obviously cut down to 53-man roster. So we'll obviously have to cut down on all positions, and that includes linebacker. We are very fortunate to some degree at the linebacker position where we didn't lose too many pieces. Obviously, the biggest name, probably the biggest linebacker, our best linebacker last year was Preston Brown. We did lose him, but I'm really okay with who we got to replace him in Tremaine Edmunds. I'm really okay with that. That was actually, I think that was a great pickup. I'm really excited for him. But Preston Brown did lead the league last year in tackles. So it's not something that you can just easily replace, right? So we did lose him. But we kept almost everybody else. As we go down this list, a lot of these guys played for the Bills in 2017. So I'm going to go down this list alphabetically, and I'm going to say a couple things about them. And like I said, at the end of the video, I'll kind of say if I think they will make the team in 2018 or not. And see what you guys think. Leave a comment if you think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think some of these guys will make the team, the other guys won't. Let me know. Personally, I think there's 2 guys that are absolute, or 3 guys, I'm sorry, that are absolute yeses. Absolutely going to be on the team, unless, of course, there's some sort of injury in training camp or something, which we obviously hope does not happen. But Tremaine Edmunds, 15th, 16th overall pick, first round pick. Really looking forward to see what he can do. He is just a beast. So from everything I hear, I didn't watch too much Virginia Tech football, but everything I hear, everything I see, all the film, his size is just exciting to see. I think Mike Milano made a great impact on our team last year. And he started 4 or 5 games, even though I feel like he should have started more. I feel like he should have taken over for Lorenzo Alexander sooner. But it is what it is. He did make an impact when he was on the field. I look forward to him hopefully starting this year. And then Lorenzo Alexander. I do believe Lorenzo Alexander will make the team. Steve and I have both talked on here about how we feel like he's much better as a pass rusher. We do feel like sometimes he gets lost in coverages and things of that nature. But you know what? 3rd down, we do need that pass rush to get in there. So I won't be surprised to see Alexander in for that role. So those are the 3 yeses that I have. I think they will be on the team, absolutely. Something on this list. And by the way, all 3 of those guys were on our team, Milano and Alexander were both on our team last year. Tremaine Edmunds, obviously the new guy, just signed this year, so we look forward to seeing what he can do. I'm gonna go down this list and name off some other names of the current linebackers on our roster. Like I said before, some of these names will sound familiar to you as I go down this list, but I'm gonna get through them and say kind of where I feel they sit as far as making the roster. So we said Lorenzo Alexander, Tremaine Edmunds. Again, I think they're both in. Ramon Humper. I don't know. He spent his last 2 seasons with Buffalo. The good thing about him is that he is a special team guy. So I think he played like 60% of the special team snaps. I'm not sure, something like that. But last year was his best season overall. He had like 80 some tackles. And he did just in May sign a 1-year contract with the Bills. I think Humper is like really close to an absolute yes. I'm pretty sure he's going to get in there as one of the other linebackers. But I think he does have some work to do. With a 1-year contract, there's no guarantees, right? So I think with that 1-year contract, it kind of gives the Buffalo Bills staff like room to kind of fluctuate whether they want to keep him or not. And I think if we were set on keeping him, we would have signed him to more than just a 1-year deal. So that's kind of where I'm thinking as far as he's not like a lock. But with his play on the field last year, and the fact that he can be versatile, play special teams, I think that kind of helps him out. And so I do expect to see him back on the team next year. So that's four. That's four. And like I said, in 2017, they carried over 6. So we're talking about 2 more positions here. And we have 4 or 5 guys fighting for those positions. So we'll see who makes those 2 positions. One, we got Dion Lacey from West Alabama. This is his 2nd season. He was required off waivers last season. And again, most of his work, sorry, I'm reading it here, most of his work came in special teams last season as well. So we didn't see the field as much on defense. He did record 1 tackle, but which is more than I did. I didn't record any tackles, so. But yeah, so we'll see if he can continue to improve. Like I said, 2nd season. Then we have Julian Stanford. This is going to be his 6th season. He has spent time with Jacksonville, Detroit, and then the Jets. He's been on the field as a starter a couple times. He's had 10 starts in his career. However, most of those were his rookie year with Jacksonville. But again, this is definitely one of those special team guys who's sticking around in the NFL because he's willing to play the special teams part and do what's necessary for him to get on the field. So we'll see how that works for him in Buffalo. Corey Thompson. This is going to be his rookie season from LSU. He was undrafted free agent. We signed him. He did take a lot of special team snaps last year. He was involved in the special teams a lot. And the good news about him also is he played linebacker and safety, and he has an advocate on our team in Tre'Davious White. When we first signed him, if you look on Tre'Davious White's Twitter page, there's like a picture of them together. So Tre'Davious White's definitely working hard to try to keep him on the team, and maybe that will say something. Maybe Tre'Davious White will help him out a little bit more than the other guys and give him that little bit of an edge. But again, Tre'Davious White and him will be playing 2 separate positions, so who knows how much time they'll get to kind of talk together and like share stories or whatever have you about the Bills' defense. And then we have Tanner Vallejo. Again, mostly a special teams guy. This is going to be his 2nd season. He was only in a handful of snaps for the Bills last year on defense, but he did play about 60% of our special team snaps, I believe. So that's something to look forward to. And the fact that he was here last year for the full season, and he did play 60% of our special team snaps, I do believe that gives him an edge up as far as one of those last 2 roster spots I was talking about for the linebacker position. So I think that kind of gives him a little bit of an edge, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And then our last guy is Xavier Woodson-Luster, who signed one of those reserve future contracts, which I talked about in the last video. So I don't think the Bills are necessarily going to use him for anything this year. I think they're more looking ahead to next year. But the good news is, again, if he makes the roster this year, it goes towards next year's salary cap, which is a much better situation for us Bills fans because, or us Bills as an organization, just because we're strapped on cap space as it is. So next year we have so much extra cap space that we can kind of just carry it over to next year. That's actually a really good thing for us. But again, played for Oakland last year, but he didn't see the field much as far maybe special teams. I didn't read too much on him. So I don't expect him to actually make the active roster. We're talking about the possibility of 6 linebackers, like I said, right? So again, I think Tremaine Edmunds, obviously. Milano, obviously. Lorenzo Alexander, absolutely. I think Ramon Humper has a good chance of making the team. Again, with that 1-year contract, I don't know if that gives me confidence that the coaching staff is absolutely going to go with him. But I think that he's got a good shot. The next 2, I would say, like I said, Vallejo, I think he has a step up on these other guys. I think he might make it in there. And then kind of a shock to maybe some of you, if you follow along, I do believe Corey Thompson is going to be the 6th guy from LSU. If we have a 6th guy, part of me thinks, especially because of how much McDermott and Leslie Frazier like to play a nickel, that we might only keep 5 linebackers. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think if we have a sixth guy, it's going to be Corey Thompson. Again, I think his versatility will speak volumes as far as what Sean McDermott likes. I mean, if there's one thing that we know Sean McDermott likes, it's versatility in his players. He likes players who play more than one position and players that don't mind playing special teams as well. That helps us as far as the roster count. We can plug people in different positions because you never know what's going to happen in the NFL. So we want to make sure we're covered. I mean, we all saw last year the Indianapolis Colts game. We have Joe Webb in there who can play multiple positions, and he came in as a quarterback, and it worked out great for us, and we ended up winning that game. But without Joe Webb, what happens? Who would our third-string quarterback have been then? I'm not sure, but we're happy to have him there at that time, and maybe a situation like that comes up. Maybe we only carry over 4 or 5 safeties, and there's some sort of incident during a game where 2 or 3 safeties get hurt, and then all of a sudden it's good to have him on the team if we need emergency safety because he's played the position before. So I think those 2 guys have the edge. So if we're talking about 6 linebackers, my 6 linebackers would be Tremaine Edmunds, Matt Milano, Lorenzo Alexander, Ramon Humper, Tanner Vallejo, and Corey Thompson from LSU. Those would be my 6, 2 rookies in there. So just tell me what you think. And again, this can change. As was brought up during one of our live streams, at the end of training camp or at certain times throughout the preseason, there's going to be cuts, right? So other teams are going to cut some players, and they might cut some linebackers who Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier might be interested in, and they might come in and be able to fit in right away. And then all of a sudden, these guys get bumped back. And that happens. That happens in the NFL. But anyhow, so as far as the linebacker position as a whole, I think the Bills are actually pretty set. Again, I'm really excited to see how Tremaine Edmunds and Matt Milano work together. Matt Milano will be hopefully the start of the whole year. And then having Lorenzo Alexander come in on third downs just to rush the passer, I think that will be a big help. And again, Tremaine Edmunds with his length, his size, I think he's going to be a monster. I really look forward to that. The NFL, NFL.com, when we were going for the draft, they compared him to Brian Urlacher. And I don't always go for, we compare him, he has comparables to this guy, he has comparables to that guy. I don't go for that all the time. But at the same time, if these scouts see some things that they saw in Brian Urlacher and this guy, that's impressive. I mean, we all know how good of a career Brian Urlacher had, and if we can get anything like that from Tremaine Edmunds, he was worth every bit of the pick. He was worth every bit of moving up to get him as well. So I think overall for linebackers, I'm going to give us maybe a B-. I like it overall. I think we could use some help as far as depth goes. We're looking at these guys like Corey Thompson, who maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe he will be a good fit for the Bills. And again, last year, this offseason, when we were unable to re-sign Preston Brown, a lot of people said the only reason why he led leading tackles was because it was a scheme thing. And we'll see, because again, we have a guy now in Tremaine Edmunds who, if everything comes to fruition, should be able to do the same thing then, if not better, because his physical skill set just seems to look better than Preston Brown's does. And so we look forward to that. We look forward to watching our linebackers play this season. So that's all we have for you today. This is the linebacker coverage breakdown. So if you want to continue to watch these breakdown videos, like I said, we're going to have all of them out before next Thursday, the start of training camp. So we already did the safeties, we already did the cornerbacks, linebackers. We're going to do more defense, and then we're going to go into the offensive side of the ball and then break them down as well. So keep looking out for the videos. If you have any comments, leave a comment. We'll get back to you. We'll comment back. If you disagree with what I said, if you think Lorenzo Alexander won't make the team this year, I kind of struggled with that actually. I feel like he's a 12-year vet, so he is getting up there in age, and maybe he'll slow down a little bit. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But maybe you feel that way. Just let us know. Let us know in the comment section. We'll happily banter back and forth and see what goes on there. But if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please be sure to do so. Not only are we going to give you these breakdowns here, we're also going to cover you throughout training camp, any breaking news that happens, whether it be on the field with injuries or signings or anything of that nature, or off the field. We still have this McCoy situation going on, which we don't know much about still. And we still wonder what happened to Zay Jones. We don't know how long he'll be out for surgery, but we're gonna keep you updated. As soon as we know, we'll put it on here and you'll know. But other than that, please be sure to subscribe, like or dislike this video, maybe share it, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. But till next time, go Bills.